Hello, my name is Juliana, and I'm a cleaning specialist and the owner of Cleantopia, a residential cleaning business. And today I'm going to talk to you about estimating home cleaning. So, if you are a professional house cleaner or residential cleaner or any type of cleaner, eventually, as soon as you start, actually, you're going to need to know how to estimate the job. Okay, so there's a couple things to consider if you're working in the residential business. If you walk through a home, and I'm walking through, this is my client's home. It's been cleaned. It was cleaned a couple weeks ago. This client has travels a lot and has not been home for much of the time that I have not been here, so for 2 weeks. But as you can see, it is fairly clean. So if I were walking into this house as a new potential cleaner for these people, I would be looking at a couple things. Number one, I'm going to be looking at the tub and shower area. First, look, how clean is this area? Next, you want to look at things like this. Does it contain glass shower doors? Because that's going to take you some time. This shower is really clean. Does it need to be maintained clean? Yes, of course it does. This is the easy type of cleaning that you want to do for your clients after you have established a clean standard in their home. So if I were estimating this job, I would say, tub looks clean, bathroom overall is clean. Notice there is not a lot of or any clutter, really, a couple decorative items, but mostly useful and functional things. So there's not a lot for me to um, trudge through as I'm cleaning this area. Toilet is clean, needs to be cleaned, but it's fairly clean. All right, so those areas, these are hot spots, right? Tub, shower, floors, baseboards. Take a look at these things. Okay, these are important when you're estimating cleaning because these things, floor, shower, and tub, are going to take you the most time. All right, let's move on to the next room. This, of course, is just a small hallway. It's fairly clean. You can look at baseboards in all of the areas of this house. And because I clean it every 2 weeks, sometimes more when he needs me to, but because of that, it is a fairly clean, excuse me, home. And so let's go ahead and go into this bathroom because you don't want to just look at one bathroom and make your estimation based on that, right? You want to look at all of the bathrooms, showers. This one does have clear glass doors, which is going to take some more time. And so, sink is a little dirty, not much. Light would have helped, sorry. Bedroom is clean, things like that. Let's talk about upsells for just a moment. Things like removing the mineral staining on clear glass doors is a good upsell item. This client has me every once in a while organize their closet. Okay. So I have organized that closet and then kept it to a standard by once a month just going through it, letting him know what organization items I might need, such as hangers, etc. Okay. Another good upsell in this room would be to clean the carpet. You can see there's a couple spots here. And I do that for this client as well. He does have pets, which are not here right now, but those are items that can be upsold to your existing clients or new clients because, for example, this person is a renter. I know eventually that needs to be taken care of or paid for and so on. So you want to upkeep it, especially for your clients that you know are renters, because if you're cleaning for them in their home, well, eventually you're going to do an end of tenancy cleaning, potentially do an end of tenancy cleaning or a move out clean for them. Keep the home as clean as possible so that move out clean for them is not a huge expense and for you is not a huge amount of work. All right, so look at the bathrooms, look at the showers, the toilets, the floors, the baseboards. These are hot spots. Another hot spot is kitchen floors. Stovetop is a huge hot spot. Okay, this could be covered in grease and baked on stuff. It's not, but it could be. And let me tell you something about stovetops and showers is they can take an enormous amount of time. So if this were caked with grease and layers of grease and also burnt on stuff, by the burners, which it's not because we keep it clean, but if it were, this item alone could potentially take you an hour to clean. Microwaves are another hot spot. They can be potentially very dirty. They could take you 25 or more minutes just to clean the microwave. All right, kitchen sinks. See how dirty they are. Things that are dirty, but you can kind of tell that they're just superficially dirty and maybe haven't been dirty for that long. That's not going to take you as long, but things in the oven, in right, that might be potentially cooked on, baked on, things on the stovetop. These are time suckers, guys. These are going to take a long time. If this stove were super dirty, I would add on an hour of time to my estimate. And if the shower was super dirty, I would add on an hour of time. If both showers were super dirty, I would add on likely an hour and a half of time. Let's talk very quickly about how much do you charge at the initial cleaning versus if it's a recurring client, how much are you going to charge them thereafter? Okay. So for initial cleanings, because I wasn't sure of what to charge, sorry, that was loud. Because I wasn't sure, I went in with an hourly rate. How did I get that rate? Well, it's easy. I called local businesses in my area, anywhere from what looked like one man shows, right? Just one person cleaning companies, very small, private, to the larger commercially advertised and known big cleaning companies. And I found a huge discrepancy. I found I found a discrepancy of about 75 to $90 per hour in difference of charges. So the largest company I called was $158 an hour. Okay, so why do you want to do hourly when you are initiating cleaning with a client? Well, you don't know the house. Things like where are the outlets? Where are the plugs? Which ones don't work? You see that spider there? So this client, just a side note, this client lives in a beautiful area, and I don't know if you can see out here, but we just have wilderness and forest behind us. And with that comes a lot of little eight-legged friends. Okay, back to the pricing. Hourly because you're not sure how long it's going to take you to clean this house. If there were four people living in this house, which there are not, there are only two, but if there were four and if some of them were children and combined with the pets, that's going to take you longer. Why? Because it's dirtier. If nothing else, the floors are going to take you longer because of the pets. Okay, there's going to be a lot of pet hair around, on and around the baseboards. There's going to be a lot more to clean up. Now, if those four people are going to be home while I'm cleaning, I need to take that into account as well because, well, even though I don't mind at all when people are home, in fact, I welcome it. And, in 2025, we're talking about many, many people, especially that live in my area, that work from home. Okay, people don't go to a job every day like they used to. So I don't mind the people being here at all. In fact, I love to see them. But if there were four people, that were in this home while I was cleaning it, you can see how it would take me a lot longer. Okay, so all of those things need to be considered. How many people live in the home? What are their ages? Are there small children? And how many pets are there? And who's going to be here when I clean? Okay, so those are things to consider. And then also with the hotspot areas, how's the stovetop looking? How do the sinks look in the kitchen and the bathrooms? Most importantly, how do those showers and bathtubs look? Those are time suckers, okay? So I would start all my clients with an hourly rate. By the way, I still do that, especially if it's a very heavily soiled home and don't have any idea how long it's going to take myself and my crew to get that to a clean standard. And sometimes, guys, it's hours and hours of work. In fact, most new initial cleans, myself and my crew end up coming back for 2 visits. Why? Well, because we don't normally schedule cleaning visits for any longer than 3 hours maximum. You're just tired at that point, and anything beyond that should be a separate visit, but you want to keep them close together, right? So what I'll do is I'll block out, if I think that it's going to take me longer than 3 hours, 2 3 hour chunks of time on consecutive days. So 2 days in a row, and we're going to come in, and by the end of that second day, right, these clients are going to see an entirely new home. Yay. That's what we want, right? We're helping people. So let me talk to the homeowner and also, or just the client, the renter, whatever, the person hiring a cleaning company. Make sure, number one, you are hiring a cleaning business with legitimate business papers and legitimate business that runs things on the up and up, etc. Why? Well, there's a few reasons, but I want to bring your attention to this. If they are not a legitimate company, you have very little recourse if things go wrong. And while we don't anticipate that things will go wrong, they can, and we're realists, right? So as a potential consumer of house cleaning services, you want to make sure you're dealing with, number one, a legitimate business that has a business license. So if things go wrong, you may have some recourse on maybe money that you've spent, etc. And number two, you want to make sure you're dealing with a legitimate business that is not only licensed, but they're insured. Okay, because if something breaks, and I know it doesn't seem like it's going to happen, and $50 less on an estimate seems like it's a great deal, and maybe you should just go with that business. Well, $50 turns into a big problem if these glass doors break. Yes, you saved yourself $50 on the clean. And if they have no insurance and are not a legitimate business, now you've got yourself a potential $3,000 debt to replace those doors because the company or the people that you hired were not licensed and insured. You can't go to their insurance company if they don't have one. Okay, this is important, homeowners. Listen up. This can cost you really everything. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. I have a friend, and this is how it was brought to my attention. She had hired workers, her and her husband, and the workers came to their home, and the workers were injured. They weren't even in their home, by the way. They were actually working on the roof, on their gutters, okay, installing new gutters. The person fell off the ladder, was injured, and my friend and her husband paid that person's salary because they couldn't work from the injury. They paid their salary for 16 months. So I want you to think about that because if someone is not licensed and insured and a legitimate business, well, they can claim that they were making really any amount of money. I'm not trying to encourage people to be deceitful. In fact, I, I'm trying to do the opposite. Please make sure that you're hiring insured and licensed people so that if something like that were to happen, if someone, the $3,000 glass shower doors is a huge expense and a huge headache and, might be devastating to people. But 16 months of paying someone's salary because they fell off a ladder on your property is a huge deal. In fact, sadly, my friend and her husband ended up selling their home because they took out an equity line to pay this person and their salary, and they eventually just couldn't make the payment. I live in a really expensive area. So these are things to consider. Um, Renters, if you are a landlord and you rent your home, please consider, 100% consider including professional cleaning as part of the lease agreement. Why? Well, because you are going to be insured that way that number one, your home is, maintenance isn't just fixing things that are broken or fixing things that have gone bad or worn out, etc. Maintenance, a lot of it has to do with cleaning, and the condition of the home after someone rents it is really a lot to do with cleaning. Did they clean? And if not, are there things that are permanently ruined because of the negligence that you now are having to replace, which becomes an expense to the landlord? So if you own a rental and you rent it out, please consider including professional cleaning as part of your lease, even if it means that you, as the owner, reduces the rent by half of the amount it's going to cost for cleaning. Here's what I mean. If it's going to cost you $200 every 2 weeks or $400 a month for the cleaning, don't increase the rent by $400 because you're likely not going to get a lot of people looking at the property because housing is already expensive enough here. I mean, really expensive. In fact, the city that I live in was just named the most expensive city in the United States of America. So we're already dealing with very expensive housing. So if that $400 is tacked on, well, you may not get as many inquiries into the rental. But also, you want to make it look as though you really are caring about your home. And because of that, you are willing to foot part of the bill, if not all of the bill. So if you are going to include home cleaning, even if you as the homeowner is going, as the rental owner is going to pay for the entire thing each month, you also need to let your tenants know that they are going to, have professional cleaners coming into the home every 2 weeks. Here's the second benefit of professional cleaners coming into a rental, guys. They are going to report to you every bit of damage that they see every time they come. So you're going to catch damage, potential damage things in your rental home very quickly. You don't have to wait for the end of tenancy for those people to move out and new people to move in and your inspection to figure out that there are things that are damaged here. Okay, so it really does afford you two benefits if you own a rental. And that is you're maintaining your property, you're certain that you're keeping it up. Even if those tenants don't clean in between those 2 week visits, you know it's getting cleaned every 2 weeks. Let me tell you, that is a lot more than I have seen most people, if I'm honest, do in their own homes, right? Most people aren't cleaning their own homes every 2 weeks. So that's the potential liability as a rental owner that you hold. Something that $400 a month can take care of, I'm in, right? So make sure that you, as a purchaser or potential consumer of home cleaning services, make sure that you are not going for your lowest bid. In fact, with services and things that involve either legit companies or not, I often take the middle road or even the high end bids for my own home because they just happen to be the ones that are legitimate businesses with legitimate insurance and bonding and licensing. Okay. So they're more expensive, guys, for a reason. They're more expensive because they have all these expenses to pay for, like regular big corporations, right? But they're small businesses. So those expenses are more, or they hit the business owner more than, say, a corporation. So please, if someone quotes you that they're going to charge you $80 an hour to clean your home, don't see that as they're going to, tuck $80 an hour into their back pocket. That's often not the case, especially if they're the owner. They're sending out workers, they're paying those workers in advance, probably of you paying them. And also, they've already paid the insurance, the licensing, the bonding. They've already paid, hopefully, workers' compensation insurance. Make sure you have that, as we talked about before, because if someone is injured on your property, it can potentially cost you everything. All right, so I hope that cleared things up. For the initial clean, professional cleaners, I charge an hourly rate. After that, one more important thing. After that, I let them know that we are going to agree on a flat fee to clean the home. Because as you clean a home, even if it's your own, you will notice that you'll get faster and faster as you go. You get a routine down, you know where everything is, you know exactly how you're going to work your way through the home and get to the end finished, all clean result, right? So as you get faster as the home cleaner, you should never be penalized for that. So here's what you do. You set a realistic and, of course, profitable, because you're running a business, flat fee charge after the initial hourly clean. And then you let the homeowner know that you have put aside whatever the amount of time is that you've decided on. For me, it's usually a 2 to 2.5 hour maintenance clean, and that is the maximum, not the minimum amount of time you will be here. So for example, I'll say to this client, it's a maximum 2 hour maintenance clean. So I do that for myself so they can't, if they're here, go to my text and say, well, you still have 15 minutes left. You've only been here an hour and 45 minutes. Wrong. They have done the job. Just think of it as anything, right? If you took your car into the auto mechanic and they said it was going to take 3 days, right, and cost you $3,000, but they finished it in 2 days, it's still going to cost you $3,000, right? You're not going to say, well, you said it was going to take 3 days, so let's chop off $1,000. That's not how it works. It works as you're going to pay for the job. So if they get you the end product sooner, rejoice, right? Be thankful, pay them, even tip them for a job well done and efficiently done. All right, that's all I got to say today, guys. Remember, I'm Juliana, and I thank you for joining me today. Subscribe and like this video, share it. It helps. Ask me any questions that you want. I've owned Cleantopia, a cleaning business, for the past 2.5 years, and I'm a former English teacher, high school English teacher. So this is a big job transition for me, but I've learned a lot, and I'm happy to share what I've learned. Thanks, guys. Join me for my next video. Bye-bye.